Hello, friends, and welcome to the Exploring Washington State podcast. My name is Scott Cowan, and I'm the host of the show. Each episode, I have a conversation with an interesting guest who is living in or from Washington State. These are casual conversations with real and interesting people. I think you're going to like the show. So let's jump right in with today's guest. I am sitting down today with Megan Leonard. Megan is a programmer for SIFF. Now, to me, that sounds like a computer language, and you're sitting in a cubicle with, but SIFF is the Seattle International Film Festival. And I'm guessing that programmers are the people that select the movies for the festival. Am I right?
You're absolutely right, though admittedly it's a common misconception when I tell people that I'm a programmer. All of a sudden they're like, oh, you must be great with computers.
And you're like, SIFF, is that a language? I haven't heard of SIFF before. It's like Java?
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's a different kind of binary code or something.
Perfect. Well,
but yeah, no, I watch a lot of movies and help the team here select which films are going to play at this year's edition of the festival.
All right. That's today. But let's go back in time. Give us a little bit of your backstory. And really what I really want to know is how on earth does one become a programmer for a film festival? Not that I want the job. I'm just like, it's an interesting concept to me. So where are you from? Where'd you grow up? Where'd you go to school? And what else should we know about you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, programming is definitely not a job that I thought existed when I was a kid. And if I had known, I probably would have been aiming exactly for it.
Okay.
But I grew up in Olympia, Washington, so just an hour south of Seattle, where I am now. My parents are both in like the biology world and science, and so that's kind of where I grew up, is very much out in nature. Mm-hmm. But we were always going to the movies every night. We would be turning something on the TV, so they got me started young, even if they weren't realizing it. And I ended up going to college at Seattle University, where initially I thought I was going to be an engineer. That did not happen. And as I changed my major to film, I saw a position open to become a programming assistant, programming intern at the Seattle International Film Festival. And I read that description. Like I said, it said, you're going to watch movies. And I was like, oh, well, finally the path that I've been looking for my whole life is opening up before me. And so I worked as an intern for 3 years, watching movies, tracking films from around the world. I graduated from Seattle University with a degree in film studies, but I would really say that my film education happened when I started working at SIFF.
Okay.
I think when I first started working there, I thought that I was a movie buff. And then I quickly realized that I knew about Hollywood, and I knew about actors, and I had no idea what was really out there in the independent film space and also the international space. So it just really opened up my eyes to what was out there. And, as the kid who always just loved to watch, they gave me a closet and a set of keys where I could walk in and there were just DVDs lining the shelves. So it was a total dream come true for me. And I refused to leave. I told them, I'm coming back next year and I'm going to come back next year too. And is there anything I can do over the summer? This is my Mecca.
Mm-hmm.
And so the idea of working my way up through the world of programming was pretty exciting to me. And when I graduated from college, I ended up getting hired full-time as their programming coordinator. So the person that receives all the submissions and responds to everybody's emails and organizes all of back then it was DVDs that we were getting. So organizing everybody's DVDs and physical materials. And again, through that, I got to start traveling to other film festivals and learning more about the larger circuit that's out there. which again, another eye-opening experience to just seeing the greater industry at large, and just how this whole thing works and how the movies come to us, and the different players out there as well.
All right.
But yeah, I was in that job for like 3 or 4 years, and then since after that, I've been a programmer on the team, focusing on shorts and New American cinema, since 2017.
Okay, so I have some questions based on all of that. First off,
Yes.
let's go back to your childhood. You said
Great.
you said watch movies all the time. As a kid,
Mhm.
what'd you like? What were some movies from your childhood that you go, oh, I remember and I enjoyed whatever. Fill in the blank for me.
Oh yeah, I mean, my all-time favorite movie is still one from my childhood that was like my favorite movie, which is Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I like it was a movie that like when I was really little terrified me, with like the eyes popping out and like the melting, like it totally freaked me out. And then as I've gotten older, revisiting it, it's one that has so much more depth to it than I ever could have understood when I was a kid.
Okay.
Like both in terms like of themes, but also just in terms of the technical elements and how they pulled it off. And then again, as like I learn more, it's like the idea of like Disney and Warner Brothers characters on screen at the same time, and like how that's something that could never happen anymore. And there's just like both like such a legacy, but also just like it's a one of a kind type movie.
I'm gonna flip the question on you now though, and this honestly, I'm prepping you. This may make you uncomfortable, but what's a movie from back in the day for you that was super popular that you think is overrated, that just doesn't work for you?
Oh gosh, I have to think about this. My like personal problem is I have a soft spot for things that are bad too.
Well, it's okay. I mean, but what's one that just like I'll tell you mine. I'll give you one for me.
Yeah.
I still don't think. I don't get Titanic. Like, it just doesn't. I mean, it was a blockbuster. Everybody talks about it. I watched it and I went, yeah, okay. Actually, and another one. Now, this shows you how much older I am than you. I never saw the original 3 Star Wars movies in the theater.
Whoa. I've thought of mine.
Okay.
I've thought of mine. One that I thought was overrated, and not even for any particular reason, Armageddon.
Okay.
It
just didn't work.
I just did not.
Okay.
I just didn't get it. It wasn't for me. I refused to see it for many years, just out of like a personal protest, and it just wasn't for me. But then additionally, I will say, like on your note of not seeing the original Star Wars, I've never seen any of the Indiana Jones.
Oh, okay. See,
yeah. It's a big blind spot.
So I watched the first 3 Star Wars movies when my kids were little on VHS, on a small TV, and it was like, yeah, it's okay. And then when they released them, I don't know, 25 years ago or so, whenever they first were re-released, I went to the theater, and back then there was a theater up at Northgate, and it was like I think my biggest memory is there's twofold. Number one is that the seat that I was sitting in the theater had a spring that was very uncomfortable. And number two is like, these just didn't age well to me. Now, I know that I'm probably going to have people, telling me that I don't know what I'm talking about, and that's fine. If you like Star Wars, and that's great. I appreciate the franchise that it is. Let's put it that way, but just not mine.
Yeah.
Okay. The other question I have is, when you were a coordinator, you mentioned you were responsible for the submissions, getting, and all that. So on an annual basis, how many submissions does the Seattle International Film Festival receive?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I think we're getting over 3,000 submissions at this point. Yeah.
That's like 10 a day.
It's pretty significant.
Wow.
And we have a team of about 30 programmers, split over shorts and features at the festival. So we have a pretty large team of people that are watching those and making cuts and,
so,
yeah.
If we just work with the number 3,000, and that's just
Yeah.
Plus or minus whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm not holding you to it. Are you telling me though that those 3,000 submissions are being watched by someone? Does every submission get at least a viewing?
Oh yeah,
wow.
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
Wow.
No, everything is getting viewed at least once. Many things getting viewed more than once as well. And I think the thing, like, I tell this to a lot of filmmakers is like, I think the thing to understand is like all of us as programmers, if we see like something in a film, like we want to give it its best chance.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so like when I see something and it's like, it's not really my taste, like I can see that there's something in this, but it's just not really the kind of movie that I personally like. I give it to my another programmer on the team that I know.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's just more interested in that type of cinema.
Got it.
Like I'm admittedly not like a huge slow cinema person.
Okay.
So it's like, I give it to like one of our programmers that's a little bit more patient with that kind of pacing.
Right.
Or like if it's like, a slasher, I give it to my colleague Dan, because I know he's gonna really get into that. Or alternately, he's gonna be the one that's like, it's actually kind of derivative, and I've seen that kind of thing before, so actually no.
Okay.
So
so
that kind of thing.
I didn't. Okay, welcome to the rabbit hole. So
yeah.
Can we, for the sake of a few minutes, can we take a hypothetical submission from landing in the mailroom to being on the 2025 film festival screen? How does that process? What's the internal workings of that? So I mailed you my film here, poof, it's in the mailroom. It's assigned to you. What's next?
Yeah, so admittedly, at this point, there's no mail room for it.
Look at me, I'm old. Like there's still mail. I mean,
that's what I was saying. Like when I was coordinator, like it was mail. Like we were getting like those mail bins, like just over and over again, just ripping packages.
I'm sending my
DVDs.
film in on Super 8, by the way. So I'm going. I mean, it's no, I'm kidding. All right, so
further back. These days there is now a platform called Film Freeway, and so filmmakers will submit their films via this platform, Film Freeway, and everything is like a Vimeo link or some other kind of like auxiliary link where we can access it.
Okay.
And so the process is the filmmaker, they send it to us. Someone on our administrative team gets it checked in and make sure like they paid submission fees, like we have all the necessary materials.
Okay.
And then that film is in a pile, like a digital pile. A digital pile with all of the other submissions waiting to get viewed. And I think each of us have like a different method in terms of how we select what to watch. I think a lot of us are actually pretty random about it in many ways. It's like, what letter of the alphabet do I feel like today? Or, it's there like, I'm just going to like search the word cat and see if something comes up.
Okay.
And, like that's going to be my selection process today. But from that, like a programmer is going to go in on the backside and see that list of films, make a click, and there pops up all of the information, the screener's right there, your little synopsis, director bio. But I think for the most part, a lot of us like to go in pretty blind and not read too much and just kind of let it play and let the movie speak for itself.
Okay.
So, that's on its first watch. And then like, our team will put in, I'll type in a grade and a comment, a 1 to 5 grade. And that will be like kind of the first like signal of kind of where it stands.
Okay.
From there, it's a matter of, is it going to make it to a second programmer or not? And so it's like, depending on that grade, you kind of make a decision as the person who viewed it, like, okay, do I want to try and pass this along to somebody else and really start advocating for this? Or is this one that I want to cut? So
you, as the programmer, can become the advocate of the film. So Megan, you're going to say Scott's film warrants being looked at by somebody else on the programming team. So you say, you guys are, here's Scott's film. You should look at it. Another programmer looks at the film, kind of does the same thing you do with their style. They may want to read all the stuff, but they're ultimately going to view the film, give it a grade, and then do they decide?
Well, so then we do the selection process by committee.
Okay.
So like every other week through January, February, March, like we are meeting as a committee to go through every film that we have in consideration.
Okay.
And like we have to look at it very holistically, because we only have a certain set amount of films that we can program. And a lot of the programmers have different specialties. Kind of, as I mentioned with myself, I watch the American films and short films, but we have other programmers on the team that are advocating for different sections and different parts of the world, and like different like genre specialties.
Right.
As well. And so it's like we each have like a set number of films that we can program in those areas. And so it's like, okay, I like this one film, but now how does this one film like track with everything else that we're looking at? Like, does it hold up against like these three other ones that I already invited? Like, must I have this one as well? Or is there something else? Like, I think the big thing too is like looking at like, okay, is this movie already like something that I've programmed? Would it be better to get a sci-fi film when we don't have sci-fi already represented in the program? Like, because I think our goal as a festival, like we consider ourselves an audience festival. So for us, like we really are catering to like our audience's wants, and we want there to be something for everybody.
Okay.
Like there should be like something that hits every marker for audience. And so we are pretty thoughtful in terms of making sure that variety is there, along with like the diversity within like the international element, like documentary, short film, like that
okay.
sort of variety as well.
So how long? Well, I guess it would depend on when I submitted my film for consideration. You just said you're meeting every other week, January, February, and March to finalize the. In this case, we're talking 2024. I pushed out a year, but okay, 2024. So you as a group, you sit down, you make the decisions, and ultimately the films are selected for the film festival. This year in 2024, do you know how many films in total have been selected for the film festival?
There are 207 films.
I'm a little disappointed. I was hoping for 208, but okay. 207 films. That's right? A lot of. Okay. So for the audience that doesn't know, the Seattle International Film Festival is held on multiple venues. So
it is. Yes.
What venues are this year's films going to be shown at?
Yeah, so SIFF, we have 4 theaters now that we operate year round. And so we will be operating out of all 4 of those. And so those theaters being the SIFF Cinema Uptown over in Queen Anne, which we have owned for quite a while now, as well as the SIFF Film Center on the Seattle Center campus, where our offices are located. And then we have the SIFF Cinema Egyptian up on Capitol Hill, which is always a favorite of mine. And then the newly minted SIFF Cinema Downtown, formerly known as the Cinerama, which is, to me, like, when I was told that we were going to be using that theater for the festival the entire time, my mind was blown. I'm very excited for people to get to watch festival movies on that screen. Like, that's just such a one of a kind experience.
No, I know next to nothing about. Well, I know less about film than you did when you were a kid, probably, because I think of Hollywood. Right? So to me, the Cinerama's screen is massive. Is that not maybe always the best choice for certain? I mean, would certain films be lost on that real estate?
Definitely. Like that's actually a big conversation that we have during the scheduling process. I think you'll find this funny, Scott. Like we actually do the scheduling very analog still.
Okay.
While everything else has been very digitized, the scheduling element, like we get like a physical poster board and we have titles of movies on little slips of paper that are color coded for programs, and we're like putting them up with thumbtacks on the wall and slotting them into each of these different screening slots. But that is like the conversation that we have is like, oh, okay, like should we try and put this one at SIFF downtown? And it's like, no, like that's not the kind of movie that's going to like, it's not going to service that movie properly to play on that screen.
Right.
Like there are movies that are like just so visual that you want to have that kind of experience at SIFF Cinema downtown. But others like it. Yeah, it doesn't quite require that kind of song and dance.
So not only do you have to select from 3,000 to start with down to 207, so let's say from 3,000 to 200. Okay, let's just easy round math.
Great.
So you've got to whittle it down to 200. Then you have to take those 200 and move them around the board to best serve in a perfect world, to best serve the venue that is appropriate for this title. And then, but we got to work that in around the 199 other titles that we got to get going. And so it sounds like a giant game of Tetris to me.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a massive puzzle. And Beth and I, when we were Beth Barrett, our artistic director at SIFF, we were looking at the puzzle, and I've done the scheduling session with her many a time over the years, and I just popped in for a celebrity slotting moment this year where I just came in and I took all my American movies and just start putting them on the board, like left and right, like I got to find the best slots, because I think also as us programmers, we get very connected to these movies that we program. We feel a type of ownership over each of these movies that we selected, and we want them to play in the best possible way. And that's not to say like the best possible way is like they all need to be at SIFF downtown. It's like, no, actually I'd like this to be in like the SIFF Uptown House 3. Like that's the house that it will work best in.
Right.
Like, so yeah, like sometimes like a smaller environment is just going to feel better for a movie. And you just want, especially like if filmmakers coming, you want them to have like that nice audience experience.
Right. No, this is better you than me. But that's cool. So you kind of indicated that there's about 30 programmers. Is that?
Yeah, just about.
So about 30 of you, 30 different personalities, 30 different focuses of interest, if you will. Like you said, you don't want to do slasher movies, so you respectfully give that off to you. You said earlier you were searching by cats, and you came up with a cat movie and found it was a slasher movie, and you just like off it goes.
I just hand that
just
over.
like done. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna stop because I'm gonna ask you a very specific question about you now.
Okay.
As a movie enthusiast, as someone who watches movies as a part of your life, your income, a job, when you get to go and not watch it on a computer screen, from a Vimeo thing, and you get to go into a movie theater, where do you like to sit? Like, where's the best seat in the house to watch a movie?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely depends on the theater.
Okay, let me put you on the spot. You liked the Egyptian earlier. Let's go to the Egyptian. Where's the best seat?
The Egyptian, I like, so there's like a front part and a further back part there, and like a little split down the middle. Right. I like the second row back after the split.
Okay.
On the aisle, preferably on the left side.
Preferably on the left side.
That's my zone. Like, because usually you can get away with like nobody tall sitting in front of me, which is I'm quite short, so that's a problem for me.
So you don't want me sitting in front of you. I'm the bane of your existence. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Like I'm always looking for the spot where nobody's going to be sitting in front of me. And I love to sit on an aisle. Like I think that's something that comes from programming too, and like going to film festivals. Like you need to have your exit. Like I need to be able to get out fast.
Okay.
So, just in case.
So, 40 to 60% of the way up the from the screen, you're not sitting in the back row, you're not sitting in the front row. You kind of want to be, in that middle area of it, if you will. You want an aisle. I like, because you want to make your escape.
And I don't like to be too close to the screen either.
Right. Now, I haven't been to the Egyptian in so many years that I can just say I don't remember anything. But the way you described it, that front row or that first row in the second section is where I'm going to sit because it's got legroom. And so
it's true.
I like the aisle on the left side too. So I might be that, like, I'm that person on the airplane who puts their seat back type. None of us like that person. And I don't do that, but you get the idea. I'm going to probably ruin your cinema experience if I sit in front of you.
I'm going to be tapping on your shoulder.
Probably. And I'm going to probably turn around and give you a dirty look and go, leave me alone. Okay. All right. On a completely fun note here. So you're sitting in your preferred seat at the Egyptian theater and you're watching a film that you haven't seen before. So it's something you've been looking forward to. Are you the type of film goer who's eating movie food, or are you sitting there quietly? Do you have to have a beverage? Give us more of your movie watching experience, what's it like?
Yeah. I mean, I ate too many popcorn meals in my 20s when I was extremely poor working as an intern for the festival.
Wait, but movie popcorn's not cheap. You could have gone out for a really nice dinner on what you paid for movie popcorn.
Well, one of the amazing perks of working for a film festival is they really allow you to have free popcorn. I know.
How generous of them. Sorry.
I know. Hey, listen, SIFF members also get free popcorn. So, that's just a little plug there. Just a quick plug.
That's worth the cost of membership.
Exactly. I know. It's actually a really great deal. You get a little punch card for popcorn.
Okay.
But yeah, I overate popcorn, and now it makes me feel a little sick because of it. Like I was having popcorn for dinner for days back when the festival was 25 days long. Oh my gosh, I was dying. So now I'm more of a candy eater during the movies.
Okay.
I love a peanut M&M. That's kind of my like personal go-to.
Okay.
And in a more divisive choice, I love red vines.
We're done here. No, just kidding. Red vines, huh? All right.
Yeah, I love a red vine.
Yeah, they're fine. They're fine.
When especially like Egyptian, you can get like a Rainier and some red vines. They go well together. You can think about that.
No, I already have, and here's the thing. Okay, so one movie that's coming out this year is the Rainier Beer, the movie, which is the guys that did the movie, I've had them on the podcast before, and they were able to find the archive of all the original Rainier Beer footage. Okay, even when I was under 21 and shouldn't have been picky about what beverages options were available to me, I couldn't drink Rainier. I never liked it, and I just, no offense to those guys, I love the commercials, the marketing. Oh my God, but the beer, no, hard pass. I will drink room temperature flat water before I drink a Rainier. And it's so funny. On a completely other note, though, the other day I saw there's a Rainier beer shortage.
What?
Yeah, there is Rainier beer. Some of the bars and that are serving it on tap are running out. They can't get enough Rainier beer. So be careful. Your red vines and Rainier, you might have to switch to, something else.
Oh no. I mean, for a while I was this is actually worse, but I was drinking like rosé and red vines.
Okay.
I know. This is like the trashy movie theater.
But see, that's kind of the thing. I'm not judging why I'm judging you. Let's be honest. No, but oh man, I'm trying to imagine putting myself. All right, I always ask the hard questions. I think honestly, I don't like wine. I would drink rosé and red vines before I drink Rainier and red vines. That's no offense, guys. I know people love Rainier. Not for me. More for you, less for me. That's all good.
I'm, I'll own up to one more bad movie theater each, which is so I didn't mention we also are playing at the AMC downtown at Pacific Place.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm there, I get the pretzel bites with like the nacho cheese. Oh, they're so bad and so good.
Rainier is the beverage of choice to wash that one down too.
They don't have any.
See,
they
it's
don't
a
have
good
booze
theater
there.
then. No, just kidding.
Yeah, yeah. In which case, I get a Coca-Cola.
A Coca-Cola.
Classic.
See, whenever
Yeah.
I'm no Pepsi. That's
No,
Pepsi products.
it's gotta be
Leave me. I mean, I'll drink them if I have to, but no Coca-Cola. All right. So we've dissected where you like to sit and your dietary
Yes.
habits while at a movie.
Yes, they're not good.
No, they're not. But that's okay. It's all good. It's we aim to get through, and get our guests to share something of great significance. And so Rainier and Red Vines is of great significance.
Yeah, would recommend. And you can even bite both sides of the red vine and drink your beer with a little red vine straw. So just keep that in mind. Yeah, note that for later.
I'm actually okay. I'll tell you later what's going to happen there.
Okay.
All right. And we'll just do this. And we're back. Okay. So Red Vines as a straw, I actually kind of admire your ingenuity. So I do. All right.
Thank you.
Let's talk about this year's film festival. Because I don't have this up right in front of me, so admittedly, what are the dates for the Seattle International Film Festival in 2024?
Yeah, so the festival this year is May 9 through 19.
Okay.
And those are our in-person dates. And then the week following, there will be a selection of films that are available on the SIFF channel virtually as well.
Okay. And there's about 207 films this year. Okay.
207 feature films, 115 short films.
Oh, wow. Okay. So one question I didn't ask earlier. I didn't. You said approximately 3,000 submissions annually. Approximately how many of those are shorts and how many of those are features? Ish.
I would say a significant portion are shorts.
Okay.
Like again, I'm just ballparking off the top of my head here, but I would say probably 2/3 of those are shorts.
Okay.
Yeah.
So all right, that makes the work a little less time consuming. I mean, sitting down through a whole hour and 90 minutes or an hour and 90 minutes. Well, that'd be 2.5 hours. But you get the idea of watching something. Okay.
I will tell you though, while you would think that watching shorts would be simpler, the resets that it requires to watch short films is actually much more challenging mentally, I find.
What do you mean resets? Like clearing the slate? Because
you have to, you're starting over a new story every 15 minutes.
Okay.
So it's you have to be so locked in to every minute. There's no looking away, otherwise it's oh my gosh, the movie's over.
Right.
So you have to be okay, we've got 3 new characters, we're this is the language we're speaking, this is what this is about, and now okay, now we write that up. Okay, now next film, because we'll watch maybe 25 shorts in a row. And so it's just a lot of different stories and characters all swirling around in your brain.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay. I find that after a lot, after the heavy viewing period, I start to lose track of did I watch that in a movie? Did I dream that? Was that a conversation that I had? Where am I pulling things from anymore?
Right.
Everything starts to become a little bit of a blur.
Yeah, that I hadn't thought about in those terms. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the films that you programmed this year. I'm on your bio page, if you will, from the film festival. And why don't you share with the audience some highlights of some of your films and ones that you are, I'm not asking you to pick favorites, but particularly think are worthy of people checking out this year?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are a ton of films this year that I'm really excited about. I'll kind of do it more in like weekend order here.
Okay.
So, like over the first weekend, the movie Stress Positions, Theta Hamill's feature, that premiered at Sundance is a wild comedy. Like I have to tell people like it is not for the faint of heart. It is definitely polarizing, but it is like a queer comedy
Well,
that's set during the pandemic that is very like toxic gays.
so
The Capitol Hill crowd will love it.
I'm going to read your description on your profile page. It's 3 words, and they are toxic gay shit. That sums up everything you just said more eloquently, but I really like the brevity of the description here. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah. No, I try and get down to brass tacks.
You are any of them other your descriptions? I think that is the shortest one.
Yeah, I think so. That one really. Yeah. I saw it.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, there's a couple other. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's one with 6. Okay. Anyway, go on. I'm hijacking you. Please continue. Sorry.
I know. I'm not looking at my notes, so I'm just going off of my head.
That's
so
okay.
I'm not having my short and sweet, eloquent little lines.
That was just excellent brevity. Okay.
Thank you. On that same night, on Saturday, May 11th at midnight, the screening of Rats. That movie is so wild. It is so emo, like emo music. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on 1 second. My thing fell out of my ear. Should I just restart that?
Nope. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, I mean, with like Rats is just like the most emo, like disgusting, weird, like cult movie humor.
Okay.
Like it kind of reminds me of a Greg Araki movie in many ways. It's like so bright and colorful, and the actors just, it's like the weirdest delivery of lines. Like they just, I'm excited because the filmmakers are coming out, and I just have questions to ask them. Like I need to know about certain things.
Okay.
But it is foul. Again, not for the faint of heart. I'm really starting you with like the weirdest of the movies on my list.
That's
but
okay.
like it's such a great time. Like people are gonna lose it over that one. Continuing down my list. Oh my gosh. Okay. This movie, Good One, India Donaldson's debut feature. This movie is so Pacific Northwest coded. Like it looks like it was shot in the Pacific Northwest.
Okay.
And by that I mean they're going on a hike, they're going backpacking, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like home. But it was all shot on the East Coast. It's in the Catskills.
Okay.
But it's about a young woman who is going on a backpacking trip with her father and his friend. Like his friend's son is supposed to be joining them as well, and like refuses to join them last minute, and so it's just the 3 of them. And I just really shows the depths of what it's like to be a young woman.
Okay.
And being around men that are experiencing their midlife crisis. A lot happens just on the main actress's face. Like, so it's one that like you really have to be like locked in for.
Okay.
I watched it at during Sundance, and I actually watched it during their virtual portion, and the director said very specifically, like, this is one, like, I know that you're watching it at home, like, make sure that you put your phone down. Like, this is not one that you can second screen.
Okay.
Because you'll miss.
Right.
You'll miss the movie.
Okay.
Because it is really a quiet film.
Okay.
But yeah, I love that one so much.
Okay.
There's another movie playing opening weekend called So Unreal. This is a documentary, and I think I told you early on, documentaries are not really my section.
Right.
But this film is by director Amanda Kramer. who made a couple of movies. I mean, she's made a few movies over the last decade, but she had a couple in the last few years. One called Please Baby Please, and another called Give Me Pity, that I absolutely adored. And those were both narrative films.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a bit of a departure for her. But this is it's more of like a video essay that is talking about what we thought the internet was going to bring us in the future. Like what we thought, like, hackers were like tapping into, and like, you know, using movies of like the 80s and 90s of like where we predicted the internet was going to take us, and like looking at where we are now and how accurate it was, and
Mm-hmm.
you know what was right and what wasn't. But it's done so stylishly with like a really nice like synth score to just kind of keep you jiving through it. And then Debbie Harry is doing all of the voiceover
So
narration.
Debbie Harry, a Blondie, is the voice talent for that. Okay.
Yes.
Interesting.
But it's a very kind of trippy movie, and it's one that we are playing that at SIFF downtown. That one will look very cool.
Okay.
At on that big screen.
Okay. Excellent.
So yeah, very very excited about that one. Let's see what else. Oh, I mean, okay. I have some more regular movies that I'll talk about too, but I have to talk about this one other just absolutely absurd screening that we are doing, which is we are playing Harmony Korine's Aggro Drift at SIFF Cinema Downtown. This movie was shot entirely on infrared cameras. It will make you go blind watching it on this theater. Like, again, like, for like epilepsy warning, like if you get like migraines too easily, don't go to this. But if you're a psycho like myself and want to just like immerse yourselves in a chaotic experience, this is the place to be. We're only screening it once. Like, they have not really been playing it very much at festivals. They've actually been screening it like in LA and New York at strip clubs. Yes, it's truly a wild movie. I mean, anybody that's familiar with Harmony Korine's work won't be terribly surprised by it and how outlandish it is. But like we decided that we wanted to play it in the most outrageous way possible. So that's going to be a really fun one-off event that we're doing at 9:30 on May 17th at SIFF Cinema Downtown.
I'm gonna add a little bit. I'm on the SIFF page for that film, and
yeah.
I think you could have summed it up with this. It looks like Florida filtered through a hangover, sometimes throbbing and occasionally beautiful. And I'm looking at just the still because I'm afraid to click the movie because it'll start playing, and I don't want that distraction. Right. But visually, it's very bizarre to me. Like, visually, I'm like, whoa, okay.
I mean, it's very arresting. I mean, it's just also a movie that feels like, you know, Harmony was doing a lot of experimentation with the camera work and just like people he's hanging out with, it seems.
Okay.
But I mean, there's just like so much that's layered on in VFX and just like all these added elements. It's very dreamy. Like it's a very unusual, like barely a movie.
Okay.
But just such an experience.
Okay. Yeah. Pretty wild. Okay.
Yeah.
What else you got for me?
All right. I also have The Black Sea is one of my favorites out of South by Southwest. This is from director Crystal Moselle. And she is paired up this time with Derek B. Harden, who's co-directing the movie with her. And he also stars in the film. And it's a fictionalized account of an experience that he had, where he, and now this is the movie and not the real life story, but he flies to Bulgaria to meet up with a woman to have some adult time and make some cash. But when he arrives there, the woman has died, and he's now trapped in Bulgaria with no money, no one to pay him, and he like gets robbed and his passport is taken, and so he's like truly trapped there. And so he's just in this coastal Bulgarian town, and he's the only black man there. And has to hustle to try and find a way home. Like everyone back at home in the States is like, we've given you money before, we've helped you so many times, like you're on your own, like you have to just figure it out this time.
Okay.
And he just has so much charisma. Like Derek B. Harden, I'm saying it now, like this man is a star. Like he just oozes charisma on screen.
Okay.
So I cannot recommend that one enough. Like I just think it's so well done. And Crystal Moselle, she's been at the festival a couple of different times with her previous films, The Wolf Pack, which was a very bizarre documentary, as well as Skate Kitchen, which was turned into the criminally canceled after one season HBO show Betty. Which I absolutely adored.
Okay.
Yeah, so I love that one. Let's see here. Also, one of the highlights in the New American Cinema section is Bob Trevino Likes It. And this one also was out of South by Southwest and won both the Narrative Jury Prize and the Audience Prize there. And is just such a crowd pleaser. I mean, it stars Barbie Ferreira from Euphoria as a young woman who has a really complicated relationship with her family. You know, her and her dad have a very tumultuous relationship. So she turns to the internet. She turns to Facebook and searches for a new father on Facebook. And so her dad's name is Bob Trevino. And so she just searches Bob Trevino in Facebook, finds another man named Bob Trevino, adds him as a friend. He accepts, and they just start creating this relationship that I think you might think would be very catfishy and bad, but is actually very heartfelt, and like there's like a true connection that forms between these two people over the internet. And so the Bob Trevino over the internet is played by John Leguizamo, and he just gives a fabulous performance. I mean, I always love him.
Okay.
But a fabulous debut film that audiences are just going to love.
Awesome. All right.
Yeah.
We got more.
Yeah.
We got more. But
yeah, I know. I can keep going.
Yeah, we're gonna put a link in the show notes to everything, so there'll be more.
Okay,
but so let's wrap up SIFF, because I want to jump to something else here. But what else does the audience need to know about this year's SIFF festival?
Oh my goodness. I mean, gosh, I don't know if I have anything super specific. I think some notes to make for everybody this year. The closing night party this year is on Saturday instead of Sunday, which is going to be amazing. We're celebrating with the movie Sing Sing, which is going to be fabulous. But we will be back at the Mohai for that party, as we usually are. But this year, again, Saturday, May 18th.
Okay.
That's going to be such a fun celebration. I'm also really looking forward to Jean Smart coming out to the festival. That is just so cool. I mean, I have watched her on my small screen for many, many years in so many different television shows. So I'm really excited for her to be coming out for Hacks. Yeah, I mean, this year is going to be a really incredible festival. What I will say to you is, like, the last couple of years, I think we have felt the impacts of pandemic filmmaking and the smallness that people have had to adapt to in those years. And this is the first year where I feel like movies are back.
Okay.
Like the lineup is just so stacked. Like I mean, I only mentioned a few films, but oh my gosh, the strength of this program. Like
Okay.
there's a lot that I'm excited to personally watch.
All right. Yeah. So you're noticing, as a person who screens hundreds of films, you're noticing, I hope what I'm about to say is accurate, you're noticing a movement away from pandemic focus life to more, I don't know how to articulate that.
It's more of just like the pandemic was very restrictive in terms of what kinds of movies that people could make.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was a lot of like two people in a room, you know, like
Right.
just like for out of safety, but also just like the budget constraints that
Mm-hmm.
were existing in that time were very limiting. And I think now we're just starting to see some bigger movies come back, you know, and like more like larger scope being able to return to
Okay.
films. So I hope that continues. You know, I think it's a hard time in the film industry right now. But I'm hoping that more singular voices start getting
Okay.
the resources that they should.
Now, this is where I'm going out on a limb, hoping my memory is correct, because I don't have my notes in front of me. This is going to be really awkward if I'm wrong. But you also make film?
I do. You're not wrong.
I was getting a little getting in my head there. So let's talk about your filmmaking career for a second. What's going on, and how did you, I mean, did you get the bug to do this at Seattle U, or was this from the childhood, or how'd you go?
I mean, I think when I was in my film program at Seattle U, I've always been a very pragmatic person, so I don't think I really thought that it was possible for me to make movies. Like I was certainly doing things on a small scale just in class, but I never really felt like the itch to be a director or a writer, really.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have a full understanding of what the jobs were outside of that until a little bit later. But I just was making projects with a friend of mine.
Mm-hmm.
And that director, Peter Edlund, like we came up together through Seattle University. And then, I mean, we were making shorts every summer while I was working as a coordinator at SIFF.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, in that time, it's like, spoiler alert, I have a couple of shorts that are playing at SIFF this year.
Oh,
but at that time, I was like submitting my shorts and getting verbal rejections, you know, in-person rejection letters from my boss, who would come around the corner and be like, Megan, it was really nice. You know, you did a really good job. You guys are really coming a long way. It's not going to make the cut this year. So you know, I definitely gained a thick skin through that period. But that was also a period where like I was producing and I didn't even know what producing was. I didn't think I could be producing if I didn't have any money. But it turns out if you're the one that's organizing everything and telling everybody what to do and where to be when, you are the producer. So after a while, I kind of took on that role a little bit more seriously.
All right. Well, I'm going to interrupt you because you slipped something in, and we're gonna.
I know I did.
We're gonna come right back. So you have a couple of films this year at SIFF.
I do.
Did you champion them? I'm kidding. Did you champion them through? Did you say, I don't know who this is? Same name as me, just don't know. No.
It's crazy. You wouldn't believe it.
It's the best so thing I've ever seen.
Who made this?
So how did you?
Yeah.
Is this your first year having films at SIFF? Is this the first time?
It is not.
Okay, so it's not.
It is not.
Okay.
Yeah. I've actually had a number of shorts play at the festival over the years at this point.
Okay.
And so, you know, with a variety of different directors, and so I'm always in the producing chair on these. And as far as like that, the conflict of interest goes, I have like a very clear like line in the sand for myself,
Mm-hmm.
which is like I don't watch anything from the local community in like the submissions period.
Okay.
Like that, I leave to another set of programmers on our team
Mm-hmm.
who can decide like, because we have a very specific Northwest Connection section at the festival
Mm-hmm.
that's devoted to all the local films, things that are made in Washington. And so I let those programmers deal with me like as a producer, so that I don't have to like worry about like, any sort of,
Okay.
you know,
So
issue
you're
there.
not going in and Bill the programmer, that Bill likes donuts, so there's a thing from Top Pot there for him to, hey, check this out.
No,
I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding.
If anything, it's funny because I've known a lot of the programmers on our team for many years now, and they've known me since I was a fresh intern, and so like if anything, they give me a hard time, and like they joke with me that the movie is not going to make it in,
Okay.
before they invite it. They're like, yeah, it wasn't really that good. And then they're like, I'm just okay. Well, all right, we'll play it.
So for 2024, what are the titles, and give us a little bit about your films. Let's go there too. That's important.
Yeah. So I have 2 shorts that are playing. They are both playing in the Sound Visions short film program that is on Thursday at 6:30 p.m. at the Egyptian. And so this is a program completely dedicated to shorts made in the Pacific Northwest in Washington.
Okay.
And so I have a short called The Influencer that is written and directed by Lael Rogers, that is about a Instagram influencer who is sucking the life out of people through their likes and eyeballs. I have to make a quick caveat. I know I told you earlier that when I get a slasher, I hand it off. I do also make horror movies, so there's a little bit of a disconnect there. That's just slashers, though.
Okay, all right. Okay.
So yeah, it is a horror short that I called The Influencer that I made with Lael. And that one, yeah, we premiered it at Fantasia last summer in Montreal. And it has been playing around the film festival circuit for the last year.
Okay.
So we've gotten to travel around quite a bit with that. And then the other one is also a horror short. And this one is called Dream Creep.
Dream
and
Creep.
It's about a
okay.
Dream Creep. Yeah, it's about a couple who awaken in the night to a voice emanating out of one of their ear holes, and they have to decide if they're going to listen to this voice.
Interesting.
Yes, and so that short premiered at Sundance earlier this year.
So Sundance, okay, because
yeah.
So to the layman, Sundance is the name that gets thrown around is kind of the, and these following Hollywood stars they caught them at Sundance this year, blah blah blah. Like it's the preeminent thing. What I'm learning is that there's a lot of film festivals around, and while Sundance may capture mainstream media, there are lots and lots of other festivals.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So kudos to you though on Sundance. That's cool. It's it's like that's brand recognition, I guess, if you will, to say Sundance.
Well, finally our parents can understand. They're like, you did do it.
You're right. Yeah. Yeah, there you go.
Filmmaker.
Mom and dad are like, Sundance. And you're like, okay. Yeah, thanks. Okay, because differently. Then okay. Mom and dad, if you're listening, be very proud of her. Don't just
and they are. That's
proud. Awesome. So you've got so what are you working on? Do you have any projects you're working on now and that you will talk about? But is there anything that you're working on?
I am personally working on making the leap from making shorts into making features.
Okay.
And so with I mentioned 3 different directors since we started chatting, and with all 3 of them, we're working on developing features.
Oh wow.
So yeah. Carlos Lopez is the director of Dream Creep. We're working on adapting that into a feature right now. Lael, she has a completely other project that she's writing that I have a script in my inbox that I'm actually going to try and read today.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
So yeah, trying to make the leap. I think for us, like we really want to try and bring some interesting features to this town. Like if like be the change you want to see in the world.
Okay.
Like we want some cool movies to get made out here.
All right. Very cool. Well, we're going to dump the clutch and shift the gears away from film to what do you like to do when you're not screening films, when you're not reading scripts, when you're not traveling to film festivals, when you're not drinking a Rainier through a red vine straw? What do you like to do for recreation?
I mean, admittedly, I do go to the movies a lot for my personal recreation, but it's like, I'm like, oh no, I'm sneaking down to the Beacon, I'm going off my normal circuit. I'm going to go to the other movie theater in town. So I do that. I also sing a lot of karaoke. Me and one of my directors that I work with, Carlos, that's part of our creative process too, is like we go to a karaoke joint, put a song in, and then talk about ideas until it's our time to sing. It's just kind of our like little.
So what's your go-to karaoke song?
Oh my gosh, I have a lot of different songs that I sing. Right now, though, I'm really into singing "Call Me" by Blondie. No, unrelated to the fact that there's that Blondie movie.
So Unreal.
But maybe it is related.
Maybe subconsciously you made the connection.
Yeah.
But she's got an amazing voice. No offense, I haven't heard you sing. But, Deborah Harry's voice was, especially during that era. So, and if we're being honest, that was the theme song to a movie soundtrack song. So it kind of fits into your whole thing.
Well,
okay. All right.
Of course.
Okay. Yeah. So Call Me. What else is on the, like, if I gave you a chance to go up and put your best foot forward, if you will, singing a karaoke song, what would you go? I got this one.
I would probably sing an ELO song. I don't know why, like what's up with me and like phone calls, but they have a song called Telephone Line that I love singing that song.
That's like your parents' age, though. That's like my age.
I know. I don't know what it is.
I'm looking at you. I'm turning my head, and I'm like, ELO. I would not have guessed ELO. Okay.
I mean, admittedly, cool, I look young for my age, but it is still not really my era.
No, it's not.
I love the movie Xanadu, and that like took me on a long ELO rabbit hole, and then all of a sudden I've found all these songs, and honestly, ELO, they have like the perfect vocal range for me.
Okay, see, that's what you've identified that. Okay.
Yeah. Well, no, I'll tell you my one other person I sing, it goes even further back. I sing a lot of Wanda Jackson. So I get it's like rockabilly. She was like buddies with Elvis. Every now and then maybe do a little yodel.
Oh my gosh. Okay. All right.
Hey. Here's the thing. Like we sing so much together, me and my buddy Carlos, that like we get tired of the new stuff. We're like, it's played out.
You're not gonna like play the new Taylor Swift single that's okay. I applaud this, actually.
Yeah.
I would be very surprised if you stepped on stage and started playing any of those artists. That would be very surprising to me in a good way. Like, oh, cool.
We like to go sing the deep cuts.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So
really surprise the karaoke joint.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I always ask guests a couple of questions, so we're going to get to those right now. Yeah. Number one is, I'm a coffee fan. I think I told you this on the phone. I need to know, where's a great place to get coffee in your section of Seattle? Where do you recommend?
Yeah, so I'm on Capitol Hill, and my favorite spot is Vivace. I'm like, I still more in the our little pop-up stand that is no longer there, but down the street at the brick and mortar, they still have like the best latte in town. I also have gotten really into drinking espresso sodas there, which is like it's like an Italian soda, but with a shot of espresso. It is
Interesting.
so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, like like a little bubble, but a little espresso.
That's,
Like a
I
little
have not
vanilla
tried that.
syrup.
And there's very few coffee drinks that I would look at you the way I just did. Like, huh? That actually, that's really cool. All right.
I mean, it's funny. I went in there think like I'm making up this new thing. And they're like, yeah, it's on the menu. It's an espresso soda. I was like, I didn't make it up.
All right. All right. So,
Great.
all right. So using Capitol Hill as our base of operations, I'm going to get there around lunchtime. Where's a great place for me to grab lunch?
Okay. So maybe a little off Capitol Hill, a little bit more like Central District.
Okay.
But I am obsessed with this place called The Boat right now.
The Boat?
It's a Vietnam.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's in a little building shaped like a boat.
Okay.
Yeah, like it's just one of those weird blocks in Seattle that's like shaped like a triangle. Yeah. So there's like you know what I'm talking about.
So they put a boat shaped building to occupy.
So there's a boat with. Gosh, now I'm gonna embarrass myself if I don't know boats. I was gonna say like the bow
that's okay.
up front.
Yeah, I think you're right. But...
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, it's a really cute little small space, not very many tables, and a really limited menu.
Okay.
There's only 3 options, and they're all kind of variations of the same thing.
Okay.
But it's like it's all like Vietnamese food, and it's like this like fried chicken. There's like a noodle and like this broth that comes with it. It's amazing.
Okay. All right.
But then they do these waffles also that are incredible. They like something called pandan waffles.
Really?
They're amazing.
Okay.
Yeah,
all
incredible. Right. So I'm very high on that. It's in the same lot as Pho Bach, which if you're not familiar, is like one of the best spots for pho in town. It's the same owners.
So this is where I admit, like the Rainier beer thing, pho is it's fine. I never have like, oh, let's go get pho. It's like, it doesn't, I like it, but it doesn't, I don't ever, like, I know people that are like, mad for it. Like they must have it. And they're so,
I mean,
so
that's
picky.
how I feel about ramen personally. I'm not a ramen person really. Like the flavors just don't quite do it for me, but pho on like a rainy day or like I'm coming back from travel. Yeah. That broth.
So your thing with ramen is kind of, well, I agree with you. Ramen is, you know how you said you had too many meals of popcorn? Ramen's that same sort of thing for me. Mm-hmm. It's, I didn't have money for milk or butter, so I couldn't do macaroni and cheese. So I got ramen, okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I
understand it.
As we wrap this up, I got a couple more for you, but
okay.
I'm going to ask you, I'm going to go out of order. All right. Now this is the hardest question you're going to get today. And I'm going to preface it by saying you must answer it and you must give me your reason why. Okay.
All right. Lay it on me.
Cake or pie, and why?
I'm gonna go pie.
Why?
I just like the variety that you can get.
Well, now we're going to make it harder on you. What's the only? You could only have a type of pie. What would it be? You just said variety, so we're going to make it hard.
I'm having trouble deciding. I love a banana cream pie.
All right.
And I feel like for some reason this is like the season for banana cream pie, so it's like on my mind.
Okay.
Anytime around Easter, my mind thinks about banana cream pie.
Okay. All right.
But I love like a custardy pie.
So custardy pies. Okay. Solid. All right.
Yeah.
There's no wrong answer there. It's just always fun to watch people like sweat, like what's it going to be? And it's like, anyway, I will say, and I've been saying this for a long time and I still haven't done it, is I need to go back and listen to all the episodes and get a spreadsheet going of cake versus pie. And I do think mathematically, I think pie is in the lead, but cake's had some, cake has had some supporters lately. For a while, it was a runaway pie, and cake's making, it's gaining ground. And, but I also want to, I'm also trying to get the guests to narrow it down. So like banana cream, so it's going to be a vote for pie, but then we're going to have a vote for banana cream. And then we're going to try to tally it up and then publish the list of, guests.
Oh yeah.
All right. This is the get out of jail free card, which is, what didn't I ask you that I should have? Question. What didn't we cover that you want to let the audience know about?
The one thing that we didn't cover that we should let audiences know about is all of the short film packages that are playing at the festival. In addition to the many, many features that are playing at the festival, there is an incredible selection of shorts. So be on the lookout for those programs that are scattered throughout the festival. If you're just seeing one shorts program during the festival, I recommend the Shorts Fest opening night, which is on Friday, May 10th at 7 p.m. at the Uptown. That is like, it's just got a little bit of everything, goes around the world. You just gonna get a little taste of the different shorts.
Okay.
If you want to get a little wilder, if you're a freak like myself and want to drink Rainier with a red vine, I recommend going to the program Eat Your Heart Out, which is the annual WTF Shorts program this year. But this year, the shorts, for some reason, there was a lot of weird things going in mouths and coming out of mouths. And, people want things to go in mouths.
Okay.
And it is gross. It is weird. There is nudity. Forewarned. That's
okay.
that is a trigger warning and a promise.
Okay, both. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. I think on that note, we're done.
Look, that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for taking the time to sit down with me today. Looking forward to this year's festival, and I'm looking forward to checking out your work as well. And I really appreciate you taking the time.
Absolutely. Really appreciate you having me on. And I hope you get to check out some movies during the festival too.
All right. Hope you enjoyed the show. You can reach me on Twitter at ExploreWaState. I'd love to hear your comments. You can also visit our website at explorewashingtonstate.com. If you know anyone who would like the show, it'd be amazing if you'd share the show with them. This is the biggest way that we grow this show. Good old word of mouth. Glad you were here with me today, and I hope to have you listening to the next episode. See you then.